Yeah, hello, what's good everybody, it's your boy Romanpuss here to talk about the one and only newest EX in the One Piece Bounty Rush, Hybrid Yamato. She is a blue attacker. Many people have been controversial about her because some have been saying she's mid and she's bad,
She's not even that good,
while others have been saying she's actually insanely good. I'm honestly going to sit here and tell you everything about her, what her good pros are, what her cons are, and how I feel about her overall as an EX. Now, let's dive into it. We're going to kind of start about just some basic things. Like, why do people think she's mid? Mainly because everyone's saying just because she has no heals, just because she is killable, and just because she's somewhat actually balanced, per se, is where people are leaving her at, which I think is honestly a good thing. It is good, it's healthy for the game, and it makes it much more enjoyable for everyone to play. Let's start with, like, what does she do? Basically, her skills. We're going to go there first. Her skill 1, her Namuji Glacier Fang. This honestly spits out a big frosty bits in like a cone-shaped area around in front of you and hits for about 660 damage. This is actually pretty solid damage. Honestly, you're not going to be one-shotting people with this ability, but the main point of this ability is just to get your Frostbite ability off. For those of you who don't know, Frostbite is a new status effect that is solo usable by Yamato at this current moment. I'm assuming Kuzan or Kaokiji will be able to use it in the future, but at this moment, it is a status effect that has 3 different stages and inflicts people for about roughly 22 to 25 seconds. It has 3 stages. It has level 1, 2, and 3. They label it as 2. I don't know. Basically, it has the 3 stages. On your first infliction of it, it will deal 10% of an enemy's max HP immediately. It does not do it over time. It does it immediately, and then people will still kind of have the Frosty Bit ability, and as long as that remains on, the next time you inflict them with a Frostbite ability for the second time, they have to have level 1 on them. So as soon as you hit them for a second time, it will upgrade the Frostbite to level 2, which will hit them for 20% of their max HP. So max HP, not current HP. So that's a total of 30% of their HP gone after you've hit them with level 1 and level 2. After that, if you hit them with the level 3, it will do 50% of their current HP. So in total, that'll do 80% of the enemy's max HP damage, which will nearly wipe someone's entire health bar out, thusly making it one of the best status effects in the game. Now, skill 2, Divine Swiftness, White Serpent. It's a long-range charge attack, plus a long-range area attack becoming temporarily invincible. You generally use this for the invincibility, as well as the shield that you gain. I'll get to that in a second. That is on the traits, but it has a skill attack of 594 first hit, and then it has 849 on the second hit. So it does hit twice. That can apply a good amount of damage, and there's 44-second cooldown, which is actually really long in the current meta, but you do have ways to reduce that. We'll dive into that here, looking at the traits coming up. Alright, for your character traits, you have Nullify Freeze and Nullify Frostbite. This is great because it allows you to fight other Yamatos and not get absolutely annihilated. The Frostbite is mainly her bread and butter in her entire kit, so this is what's going to make her so insanely good. When spawning, acquire a defensive shield, the durability of 30% of your max HP. If this doesn't lead you to a hint of how you should build her, generally HP is going to be the way to go, because the longer that shield lasts, the longer you will basically be invincible, which is huge. A defensive shield that allows you to avoid taking damage, as well as accompanying effect and inflicts stagger to the enemy who attacked you, excluding some attacks. So basically you're going to be protected by almost everything. That's just kind of an explanation of what the shield is. I don't know why they split that up into 2 traits, but they do it that way. When you use Frostbite on an enemy already inflicted with Frostbite, the effect of the Frostbite is upgraded by 1 level, and Frostbite can be upgraded to level 2. So there are different effects on your initial hit, on the second hit, and the third hit. Now, you hit them once, they're basically at level 0. You hit them twice, they're basically at level 1, and then you hit them a third time, they're at level 2. I don't know why they did it like that, but that is how Bandai did that. When attacking an enemy inflicted with Frostbite, increase damage dealt by 30% and reduce the cooldown time of skill 2 by 5%. This allows you to kill defenders who can be inflicted with Frostbite and allow them to die a lot quicker, and you can get your skill 2 back. This is generally where you're going to want to hit. Yamato's basic attack combo looks like it consists of a 3-hit normal general basic attack, but on the first hit actually consists of 3 hits, while the second is 1, and the last hit actually consists of 2 different hits, which in total gives you 4 plus 2, gives you the 6 hits total, which is actually kind of insane when it comes to using the limb metal, which allows you to get that 30% chance. So 30% chance of the 6 hits, you'll roughly get the 2 procs, which gives you that extra percent cooldown, which is actually insane. So that's kind of what makes Yamato's basic attacks really unique. And then she can stack it from there. Now, there are medals here that can go on top of this and actually work really well with this. I'll get into that in a little bit. We'll dive in and kind of look at different options that you have for medals as well. Now, when the effect of the defensive shield inflicts stagger on an enemy, inflict Frostbite weak for 25 seconds. This trait is actually somewhat incorrect, as because many people can attack you and not get staggered, but they will still lose their HP from getting Frostbite. So someone like Onigashima Nico Robin, she just came out, brand new character. Unfortunately, she's actually terrible at fighting Yamato because on her skill 1, the Oni Robin's skill 1, inflicts a bunch of hits and slaps. As you notice in this clip, you'll see where she actually just kind of annihilates herself and just loses all of her HP because she's constantly getting frostbite inflicted on her because she's quote unquote getting staggered when she's actually not. But it does work weirdly with certain abilities will actually inflict frostbite on yourself while others will not. It's actually a character by character basis. We don't actually know the exact order. When dealing damage on the 3rd hit of a normal attack, 100% chance to inflict frostbite for 25 seconds. Now this is huge. Generally, if you want to maximize your output with damage, you want to hit 1 time with your basic attack, just hit the basic attack button once, then hit it 1, 2, 3 on the next turn. That will imply that you can get the most damage output possible, which will allow you to kill your enemies a little bit faster. This is generally a technique that most veteran players get used to and have. Just clicking 1, 2, 3, even myself, I find myself guilty of doing this, but if you just click 1, 2, 3, you're kind of losing out on a bit of damage that could actually save your life in the end. So keep an eye out for that, and it also allows you to bait out the dodge of your enemies. When using skill 2, recover durability of defensive shield by 50%, restores the shield if it was destroyed, and reduces the cooldown time of skill 1 by 30%. This is why you generally want to use skill 1 first and then skill 2 after, as you will be able to get your skill 1 cooldown as well as your shield back. So you use this, sometimes you can use it as a, what I like to call a get out of jail free card, where if you mess up your dodge, you know the enemy is going to hit you with a really, really hard attack, so you just got to use the skill 2 in order to protect yourself. Now, you don't want to use it too late, as the enemy's attacks and abilities will still hit the shield and may delete the shield right after you use the skill 2, even while you're quote invincible. So if you use it too late, the enemy's damage will go through and you will lose the shield potentially. So just be on the lookout for that. Try not to use it at the last moment if you can avoid doing that. You may still need it because you may still be invincible. It can still save your life, so just be careful with how you use that. When your team has less treasure secured, increase damage dealt by 30% and boost the cooldown reduction speed of skill 2 by 50%. So basically, if you're down and you're losing the game, it gives yourself a little bit of extra skill 2 cooldown. So really helps a lot, and you get the increased damage dealt. So it allows you to kill things a lot faster and you can kind of get a lot more stuff done. When your max HP is reduced, defense is boosted by 70% for 10 seconds. This is actually really useful when fighting Shang. In general, I would not recommend fighting him, but it is something. Don't exactly get one shot by him. You generally will probably still get one shot by him, or at least take a lot of damage from him, because the 70% defense buff isn't going to save you, but this is where you kind of do want defense as well. All right, now let's dive into her strengths and what makes her good. Overall, Hybrid Yamato is a phenomenal unit. I think she offers solid amounts of damage. Generally, her base damage isn't going to be insane on your own. Your basic attacks are not going to be doing crazy damage, and your skill 1 is about your main source of damage. Your skill 2 can hit and can do a good amount of damage, but most enemies will probably be ready to avoid that and dodge. The next thing is she's actually extremely tanky. With her shield up, she's basically invincible. It's a permanent invincibility, so as long as you have even a sliver of that shield, you can have 5% of your health in that shield. That means you can take a hit from anyone's ability, most people's abilities, as long as they're not multi-hitters, and take it for free, which makes you very good and extremely solid against that. And your shield also helps you very well against multi-hitters, as they will be frostbiting themselves every time they hit your shield, which means they will end up destroying themselves instead of actually killing you. So it'll actually really work out well. What makes her bad? Why do people think she's awful of an EX, and why are they all doom posting her? Basically, the main reason is no sustain. Pretty much all characters that have been released in the past year or two in One Piece Bounty Rush have had some sort of sustain that allows them to heal back up and continue fighting in the game. And generally the only way to get rid of them was to one-shot them for the most part, unless there was anti-heal inflicted. Another thing is that her abilities are somewhat longer cooldowns compared to others, so she doesn't just use an ability, use another ability, and then be able to use another ability right on top of that. She actually does have some cooldown time where she's not going to be stomping the enemy team and is not an unstoppable force like everyone expects, like a Film Red Shank. Kind of unhealthy for the game. So this is actually good, and a character like this is actually really solid to add to the game, in my opinion. The last thing is, as I was talking about Film Red Shanks earlier, she does have a lot of counters that exist in the game already. People always think she's not great because of the fact that you can use Film Red Shanks against her. She's kind of locked behind her Frostbite ability that prevents her from doing the most damage. Her Frostbite is where most of her damage comes from in the first place. So that's why people think she's kind of bad. And just because she's not dominating the meta, people are considering her bad. I really do think she's good. There are many people she can inflict Frostbite on. There are many people she can't, but for the most part, you will still be usable against at least someone in the game, generally. All right, next, you guys, I would like to kind of go over who are some good characters to use EX Hybrid Yamato against. Who is she going to destroy and generally beat? And basically, who does she counter? So the first one up is EX Big Mom. For the most part, Big Mom does have invincibility. As long as you dodge a couple of her skills, even just one skill, you should be fine. You do have your shield to help protect you against the others. You do have enough damage with the Frostbite ability to destroy her. between your basic attack infliction on Frostbite and your skill 1 on Frostbite, you will be able to inflict enough and you'll be able to melt her. She will heal back up somewhat, but you can't be sloppy with it, but you can generally destroy her if you know what you're doing. The next one is Hybrid Kaido. He's actually not too bad to deal with because he will hit your shield and he will kind of stagger himself. You do want to inflict that skill 1 as soon as possible. If you guys use your invincibility skills against each other, it actually works out really well for you and avoids you from being anti-healed. You don't have heals, so his anti-heal is kind of useless against you. But if you can avoid being anti-healed, that does give him damage, so watch out for that. The next one is King. When fighting a King, you will generally fight him fairly easily. You have to use the skill 1 as soon as you can when you have your shield up. I'm assuming you guys are fighting each other while you have your shield up and all your skills, and he is the same as well. He does not have a shield, but he has all his skills. So when you're using that, I would recommend just pressing your skill 1. If he uses his skill 1 against you, where he jumps on you and hits you for his 40% HP, that will generally just hit on the shield, and he will be nearly dead from that, because whenever he hits his shield, your shield, he basically loses all of his health and HP bar. Overall, there are lots of units that she does thrive against. So anyone who's basically a multi-hitter, someone like Ivankov, someone like Rob Lucci, those are older units and terrible examples, but someone else like Hakuba or Onigashima Robin, those things can be destroyed by her because of the multi-hits. So watch out for that. And anyone who can be inflicted with status effects, to be honest. So Frostbite is the prime source of your damage, so that's what makes her so insane and great. And I generally would recommend, like the counter to her is obviously anti-frostbite, so anyone who can be frostbite has a good chance of dying to her, so watch out for that. Now we've talked about who she beats, let's talk about who beats her. What are your problems? If you are playing hybrid Yamato, what are you going to watch out for? Generally, I would watch out for EX Shanks. Those things will be everywhere. You do have that 70% defense buff whenever he reduces your HP, but that's not too big of a deal for him because he does have a 100% attack buff, which can melt you. Watch out for EX Shanks. I would avoid fighting him at all costs as long as he has his red hair mode. If he doesn't, the other counter would be V1 Yamato. Believe it or not, it's actually your first version that came out, the Red Runner. Yes, she is red, so you would think blue beats red, but that Yamato does have a large amount of damage reduction from attackers. She can have up to 80% damage reduction from attackers, and then if you include support, she can have even more than that. So out of her base traits, she has those. She also has damage increase towards attackers. Her abilities hit really hard, and the V1 Yamato was actually basically an attacker who can kill other attackers, even though she's a runner. So that's not confusing at all, but watch out for that. I would be careful when you are fighting your V1 version because she cannot be frostbitten and cannot be frozen or any of that. So pretty much anyone can destroy her who can't be inflicted. There are other matchups like Onigashima Brook. You can fight him and destroy him if he is not on the full cat flag, but if he is not able to be frostbitten, then he will destroy you. So watch out for that. If you know people who can't be frostbitten, I would generally avoid fighting them. That's basically the long story short. If you can frostbite them, then you have a good chance to win. That's about all there is to her. Alright, you guys, next is kind of the stats and how you would like to build her. This could be a variety of different options. I would recommend play how you want, play how you like to build. You can build her a variety of different options. Generally, when you get 80% stats that you can grind out in the game for free, it will take a long time through challenge battle, but you can get out 18%, which means you can build up to 70% on 2 different stats. So I'm going to recommend between 2 different stats. You can go between HP and defense, or you can go HP and attack. If you have a large amount and have those 24% HPs, then you can do a little bit of each. I'm assuming none of you can do that. So in general, if you would like to try the HP defense, you can actually do really well because she will be extremely tanky, and as long as you can frostbite them, you will be doing damage. If you can't frostbite them, then you'll probably be useless when fighting that specific person. Overall, that's where she lays out. That's kind of how she is when she's fighting anyone. The frostbite is the main source of damage, so I would probably recommend you could go HP defense. I'm going to work on getting a set like that for her. I would like to try it out, and there's a variety of different things that we could do to get that. Now, if you are more of an attacker and like to do damage, you can definitely go and build attack. You can go full HP attack. She will do just fine with that. You have the shield back up. If you can get some cooldown to help assist with your skill 2, that will help you tremendously as well. We'll get into metal sets here in a little bit. Alright, you guys, now we're going to dive into different metal sets that would be viable on Yamato. Alright, you guys, we're going to start with the veteran metal sets. To start, this is an older event metal set. if you've been playing during this time, this was during the One Piece Odyssey event, we got this Limb Medal, which when you are attacking an enemy, your normal attack, 30% chance to reduce the cooldown time of skill 2 by 3%. Why this can be good is because Yamato, as I said, wears 3 points of damage on the first hit, 1 hit on the second hit, and 2 points of damage on the third hit. So you just have a 30% chance on each of those to reduce your skill 2 by 3%, which can be huge and can stack up in the long run. The only reason I don't particularly like this medal set, this was recommended by Soul. He has a good video about that. I would recommend going and watching that if you're into that. But it does only have skill 1 cooldown tag on that. So what you're sacrificing for this is all those different tags that you could be having on a much better metal set, like something as like the triple Luffy metal set, which gives you the damage reduction if you want to be able to hitting hard, or if you want to run something crazier, if you have these like the triple Big Mom or the triple Kaido metal sets or the triple Boa, which happen to be phenomenal sets that have a large amount of tags that can contribute to your success. Now, the next metal set that I kind of want to recommend is the Baroque Works. These are some older event medals, but if you do have the Baroque Works metal set, this is actually huge. There is the Mr. 5 medal. What's the actual official name of this? The Mr. 5 medal. When your team has more treasure secured, boost the cooldown reduction of skill 2 by 13%. Or you could have the Miss Valentine's medal. When your team has less treasure secured, boost the cooldown reduction speed of skill 2 by 10%. So either way, you have skill cooldown on skill 2 going down at all times. And you have phenomenal tags. You have skill 1, you have skill 2, and then you have dodge as well. The dodge, it's only 10%, and it is normally short cooldown, but you can feel it when you're actually playing it. And then you have the capture speed as well, which that is actually a big deal because that could be the make or break between a win. Even though you are an attacker, there might be times where you actually need to pull the flag. Then, if you want to fill it in with the Galdino medal, when using skill 1, reduce the cooldown time of skill 2 by 5%. This will actually stack up, and you'll have constant cooldown reduction happening between both of your skills. I honestly think this Baroque Works set is probably the best option for her, in my opinion, because it has a good amount of tags, and you don't particularly need the damage reduction that the Luffy metal sets offer you. It's not necessarily needed. So generally, just focusing on that skill 2, getting that fatter cooldown on there will help you become invincible and get your shield back up, basically existing for a much longer period of time. Now, I've asked many of my people within my Discord, what are some other good veteran sets? You have other options like the Katakuri event metal set with the Smoothie medal, with the old Smoothie medal, which allows you 8% cooldown on a kill, as well as the Big Mom medal that fits in just for the tags, which gives you 5% heal on a kill. So that kind of supplements her heals that she does not have as you get 5% back. That supplements your cooldown reduction skill 2 that you get from the Smoothie medal. And then you have the Katakuri, which when using skill 2 gives you skill 1 cooldown by 5%. So you get 35% cooldown every time you use skill 2 on your skill 1. I know that's a little bit of a tongue twister. Stay with me now. This offers a bunch of tags, as it'll give you the Sweet 3 tag. You get the Charlotte family, Artemisia, Big Mom Pirates, and Zoho Big Island, which gives you a large amount of tags. It's 5 tags as well. I don't like to sacrifice those. If you do like that, then that's fine. Going back to that Limb Metal set, if you would like to run that, you're going to need to get cooldown. You will need to use 2 of those along with another medal to fill that in. If you can get the Odyssey event, you can, but it's not the greatest in my opinion because you're sacrificing way too many tags for it. There are so many different options. Another option you guys could run is the Navy medal set, which consists of the Helmeppo Sword medal. This is an older event one. When an area around your enemy's treasure boosts the cooldown reduction speed of skill 2 by 10%. So if you're attacking, you will be Yamato. You'll probably be attacking on the enemy's flag. It's likely that you're there. You'll get more skill 2 cooldown. The Kobe Sword medal allows you to get cooldown reduction when you down an enemy by 4%, which is huge as well, and this fits in with the Akainu Fleet Admiral medal. When your team has less treasure secured, boost the cooldown reduction speed of skill 2 by 30%. So all around, as I said, skill 2, it provides you the invincibility, it stacks your shield back up. Your shield is the one way you are surviving, so you need that up for as long as you can. Now the tags on this are not as good. You do get the Navy tag for full 20%, and then you do get an extra tag that gives you a little bit of damage increase for 7%. If you're able to do that. That one, it doesn't have the greatest tags, but it does allow you to get a good amount of skill 2 cooldown if you wish to go that route. Because there are so many different metal sets and variable options, I'm going to throw up a list of things, but generally they revolve around either the Navy, the Beast Pirates, and or the Luffy medals. So you can revolve around those. Whichever event medals you happen to have, you can take turns using those. If you want to focus damage increase, you can do that as well. I don't particularly think you need it, as you'll be doing the damage off your Frostbite, not necessarily, which your damage increase does not get affected by Frostbite damage. I just want to make that clear, so watch out for that. Another option, if you do have them, is the Barto Club Medal. We are waiting for a third one. It would be fantastic if you could get a third Barto. We don't know if we will be getting one, but the Barto options are phenomenal. You have this Barrier Medal, which allows you to get skill 2 cooldown by 6% when an ally from your team is KO'd, which will allow you to keep surviving off your bad teammates. And when your allies when an area around you capture, tries to boost the cooldown reduction speed of skill 2 by 30%. So generally there are times where you're sitting on your own flag, even when an attacker, and you can just get that extra cooldown on skill 2 to help you survive. So if you are defending, this will help you right then and there. Alright you guys, now I'm going to take the time to look into more F2P options for you free-to-play players or newer players who are just starting the game out. These medal sets will revolve around more Straw Hats pirates and characters that you tend to get early on that help you assist and match different tags and allow you to get different cooldowns on that as well. So now the game does start you out with the Paramount Luffy, which does, whenever you get the character, you will have access to their medals. You can get those by doing the 60-second battle and get the fragments for those. You need 3 fragments to grind 1 medal. So with this, you can get different Luffys, and I would focus on getting a variety of different Luffy medals, as this will give you a lot more tags and with different matching effects. Now, the Jet Rocket medal comes with that Paramount or Luffy and Ace, which has, when you have less treasure secured, boost the cooldown reduction speed of skill 1 by 13%. So that is actually somewhat useful. It is not on your skill 2, but it does allow you to get that skill 1 cooldown a little bit faster, which you can apply more Frostbite. Now, we do want skill 2, so if you can focus on getting different other Luffys or Zoro medals, those tend to have skill 2 cooldowns, like the Battle Axe Luffy, if you're able to accumulate that character, or if you have the time skip Zoro, that comes with skill 2 cooldown as well. I would look at all the different time skip Straw Hats, as those are generally a better way to start. If you can look into different subsections that match up, like Warlords of the Sea, or Fishmen, or Beast Pirates, especially since those are recent and we're kind of focusing around Wano and Onigashima, I would generally look into those, as those will be easier to accumulate. If you are able to find a featured banner where there are all Beast Pirates being featured or Whitebeard Pirates being featured, those are the better items to summon on, especially since we are getting a bunch more Onigashima raid Straw Hat Pirates. These will be better ways to go. If you can accumulate the triple Luffy medal set, those will be huge, as you can get the raid on Onigashima Luffy medal, you can get the variety of different other Luffy medals. So those are the ones that I would recommend to start with. Once you build your account up and you get a variety of different characters, this will allow you to build different medal sets that will help you get better cooldowns and or damage increase or damage reduction, whatever you're trying to aim for. In our case, Yamato, we're trying to get skill 2. So the free-to-play options kind of vary depending on what you have on your account. So I would focus in one of those sections, either the 7 Warlords of the Sea, the Luffys, or any of the other Straw Hats together, the Beast Pirates, and or the Whole Cake Island characters, generally revolving around the Charlotte family, as those have excellent tags, especially if you have Devil Pudding. Those are step-up units. Step-up units can be bought by their fragments in the shop for free. Daily, you can stack those up. So I would recommend trying to get the Devil Pudding medals, as those will be very useful and get you a bunch of skill 2. That is definitely a viable option. Or you can buy the Luffys in the shop that will help you get those as well. Lastly, you guys, I kind of just want to talk about how you would play Hybrid Yamato. She is capable of full-on attacking. Sometimes when your shield and skills are down and on cooldowns, you do want to back off and play a little more defensively until you're able to get that skill 2 cooldown back and get that shield back up. Then you may go back in and start fighting all those defenders. If you're in a map like Daytime Barate stage and you're at that center top portion where you'll be the center of attention, it'll be something you need to be careful of, as you will be getting hit over and over and over again, and abilities will be flying everywhere. So it's one thing to be careful of. You don't want to be in the center of attention. I do think Yamato excels in 1v1 situations, as it allows her to kind of focus and get that one person down with Frostbite. You do have AoE abilities. That stands for Area of Effect, which allows you to hit multiple people with that Frostbite. But if you are in the middle of like your teammates inflicting abilities and the enemies inflicting abilities, you have to be careful, because your teammates can actually take out and cancel your Frostbite effect. So generally staying away from your teammates who might inflict a flame for ability, for example, from an Olin Big Mom, will take away your Frostbite effect, which will actually help out the enemy significantly. So as long as they keep you from stacking your Frostbite, that's actually going to hurt you a lot, as your Frostbite does more and more damage the more it stacks. Alright you guys, overall that is my general Hybrid Yamato gameplay guide. I hope this is useful and you guys found it actually somewhat viable towards your gameplay, and it will help you newer players kind of get situated on how you should actually build and play her out. Hopefully you're able to stack out your account and kind of get things stacked up for her to allow you to excel with her. I think she's actually a phenomenal unit. I would recommend summoning on her, but I may be biased just because I really enjoy the character, and she is actually really fun to play. But that's all I have for you guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm your boy Romanpuss, and I'm going to be taking off. Yeah, peace, beautiful people.